The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. It's just a threesome tonight, and that's not a euphemism. It's just me, Stevie, and Ben. That's what's happening this evening, and we've got another threesome to talk about, and that's the amount of goals we stuck past Doncaster after going 1-0 down and turning around a 6-year hoodoo. Which is a word that you only ever see written down, and saying out loud seems weird. Now, Ben, I've been looking at the statistics. We battered them, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, even first half when we went 1-0 down, first half we dominated game. We just lacked anything in final third, really, with Canberra and Sow. And yeah, daft penalty giveaway. I don't think we can have any complaints with that one. I think the one goal coming from one side, was it Byers that coming from the other, and one of them had to be given as a foul. But yeah, we did all right all the way through. It was just the final third in the first half that were a problem, and then credit to Darren Moore really for what he did at half time, because he didn't hesitate, which possibly we feel he has done at times earlier on in the season, but he didn't hesitate this time in bringing Patterson and Berahino on in place of Canberra and Sow, and it didn't change the game. It just gave us that bit extra that we needed to turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having the balls to change both strikers, Stevie, ain't the worst thing in the world, is it? I mean, you know, we could have happily, well, we wouldn't have happily, but as Ben says, there's an element of it's not a decision he'd have made 6 months ago, 4 months ago.
No, I'd agree with that. And I was thinking about this when I had a quick look at the highlights again before jumping on, and whilst I was watching it, I was thinking the number of times that we've sat here, and I think me and Ben are major sort of protagonists for this. We've absolutely hammered Berahino. I think we all have at various points, and at various times throughout the season, sort of written him off and slated him. And I feel like I'm going to come on here tonight and say nothing but good things about a bloke that I've said nothing but bad things about for the last 6 months. And again, the word that sort of bandies about at the moment when we talk about Sheffield Wednesday and being a supporter of Sheffield Wednesday is how fickle we are. I couldn't fault Berahino the other night or the other afternoon. I thought he was excellent. I thought Patterson did really well. I felt a little bit for Sow. I thought he was maybe just one of those days where it wasn't him and the quality wasn't there. Canberra, I'm sure we'll talk about maybe shortly, but credit to your point, credit to Darren Moore. I thought it was absolutely brilliant in terms of the substitutions that he's made, and I think for a person who's had a lot of negativity around some of the decisions that he makes and some of the things that he's done in terms of team selection, tactics, more bingo and so forth. I think over the last 3 to 4 games we've seen, even with the Rotherham game, I thought we were very unlucky. I think we've seen over the last 3-4 games now that we've gone on this run that things are starting to sort of fall into place for him.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that actually, because as time went on, as we get into the 60-something minute, you sit there and you're thinking, this has got Rotherham written all over it. We're going to absolutely outplay these off the park, which I felt we did. Against Rotherham, I genuinely felt we were the better team on the field, and it's difficult to say that on a Sheffield Wednesday show without sounding really biased and whatnot. But as time went on, especially then after Bannon missed his third out of fourth penalty, you sat there thinking this is gonna end up with as a loss. We're not going to be able to break these down. But credit to the lads. I don't feel like their heads went down. I feel like they went about their job in a really professional manner. They just kept knocking on the door, kept going, and it paid off. And it's been a while since we've not lost our heads, since we've not thought, oh God, and everybody's trying too hard, and they always take that extra touch in order to try and break down and be the person that sorts out and all the rest of it. They did their jobs. They went out and did what was expected of them. What was the midfield three, Ben, of Byers, Longo and Bannon, in terms of form and the rest of it? This is our best midfield three we've had all season, right?
Yeah, probably for 2 or 3 years as well as a collective. Let's look back months and a year or two ago. it was all about Bannon not having anybody that he could trust next to him when Luongo were injured, and he were having to, make do really with Joey Pelopessi, and you look.
It seems ridiculous now, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you look at what he's got now with Byers and Luongo next to him, and they complement each other perfectly. Luongo as that anchor man, and Byers is a bit more of similar, possibly to what Kieran Lee gave us, a bit more both ways. It really silky, really, is how I describe him. And another thing not to forget were the third substitution as well. Lewis Gibson were the one that set the second goal up. So
he's. Do you know what? I thought that sign in, and he went back to Everton, all the rest of it. I thought, oh God, he's going to be on one of those meme accounts where it'll be, hey, do you remember this guy? He was rubbish for us, weren't he? And he's come back a different player. He's come back. We've definitely got an identity. We've got the game plan, and he slotted straight in. I thought he was. I thought he was great. Who was it played the back heel for the goal? Who was that, Steve?
Was it the third goal?
Was it Neymar?
No, Berahino played it for Neymar to run onto, didn't he? And Neymar's crossed it in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the little back heel flick was.
He was full of it on Saturday, to be fair. And I know we've talked about him, but Berahino, he came on. There were a couple of flicks early on that I thought not quite right there, but he put himself about, and everything that we've said negative about Saido Berahino has been about the fact that he looks like he's phoning it in, or he's tossing it off, and he don't look like he's interested or he's bothered. It's that cliche, isn't it? He's waited his time out now, and he's played on Saturday, and he's come on, and I thought for 45 minutes that was the best Saido Berahino that we've seen since he came. He scored the first goal on his debut. I think he's got a couple, one or two in the Pizza Cup, but Saturday couldn't fault him, and I think rightly so. And I know it's maybe a little bit hyperbole, rightly so for him to be up there in consideration for man of the match. I know he's only played the second half. I thought he was that good on Saturday. The flick came off as he grew into the game. You could see he was growing with confidence, and you'd like to think potentially he's the kind of player now that when he plays with confidence, and he said this, he's waited his chance. Maybe this is now an opportunity for him to go and grab one of those starting 11 spots and put himself about a bit.
Well, now, Ben, that's an interesting point that Steve raises. I mean, we are a nation of big lad next to the little lad, or tricky geezer next to the ball slammer, and all the rest of it. Do you feel that we might need a big telegraph pole of a player to be alongside Saido? Do you feel that that's something we need? I mean, we've spoken before about how much Nuhu would have kicked the fuck out this league. You know what I mean? Do we have a replacement in Nuhu 2.0 in Callum Patterson? Or even Canberry?
No.
Okay.
I think with Patterson, to some extent, he that player that is a bit of a battering ram, as you would call him, a shit kicker.
He is a shit kicker.
Which, whenever he's played this season for me, that's what he's done, and he's done his job. People keep labelling it at him that he doesn't score enough, but that's not him. So why want that from him? That's down to Windass, Gregory when they come back. Berahino really is the third striker that you think is going to pop some goals, and Patterson isn't. But defenders always know that they've got a game on, and they always know that he's there, and he's always causing problems, which Canberra and South just didn't do in the first half at all.
I need to speak about this, Stevie, as well. I feel like we need to bring it up because this is a play we've discussed in absolute length on this show 1,000 times over the last Christ knows how many years. But Barry Bannon, over the last 2 years, I've seen a very wholesome interaction between Joe and Alex and Barry on Twitter this evening, and we know that Barry's he's just had his child, hasn't he? And he seems happily married and all the rest of it. It weren't that long ago. Did I remember a video of one of the players in the back of a taxi, and it looked like Bannon had just received a text from a really hot chick, and he's kind of celebrating in the back of the car. I don't know if you remember it. He went, "Get in, you beauty," or something like that. But I feel like we've got a this season we've got a different Barry Bannon. I say this season, these last few months. It feels like the trust is there from the players around him. Like we just discussed them, Luongo and Byers, and doing the jobs that they do around him. It frees Barry to do what he can do so very well, because, we'll always argue that he is the most technically gifted midfielder in this league. Do you feel like we've got a different Double B now? Do you feel like he's a changed man, or have you just seen a settle in him because of the players around him?
I think it's probably more of the latter, to be honest. I think, you can talk about form being temporary and class being permanent sort of thing. He's always got it. And you can see the touches that he has. My feelings around the way that he's held in or regarded by Sheffield Wednesday fans is that I think at times he sees the game on a different level to other people. He'll try things, whether that be a crossfield ball or a little bounce pass or a little flick. He sees things and does things that I think are beyond some of the players that we've had historically around him. And I think the quality that he's got with Luongo in there and now Byers, because I think Byers is actually quite a similar player to him in terms of his technical ability. I think if we sat Massimo Luongo down and said, right, are you on a Barry Bannon level in terms of your technique? He would say no. He's effective. He's class in what he does. He reads the game as well as anybody else. But those little flicks and that sort of deft touch that they have, Bannon's right up there. And I think obviously Byers complements him really well. I think the fact that we've now got that foil in the middle of the park is excellent for us. And I think that's brought him, more success in terms of the effectiveness he has in the game. I think he's excellent. I think Vic says it a lot. We don't know what we've got in Barry Bannon. And we will highlight and identify the little things, the pass that doesn't come off. And the pass that doesn't come off is a 40-yard crossfield pass to somebody that is a yard wide. And we'll moan about it. Why are you trying to overcomplicate the game? Or if Bannon gets the ball, if the third goal doesn't come off, the Bannon goal, he's the person who, when we clear it, he's the person who received the ball and bounced it back. Yeah. Now, if we'd have done that and the ball goes backwards and then we go square and the ball goes out of play, the response of our support would be, why did Bannon not put his foot on ball, turn and ping it down the line? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's the sort of thing that he's faced with week in, week out. And I think to his credit, he sticks with it. He's obviously, he's back on socials. His skin is very thick. I'm sure we'll talk about the penalty situation as well tonight. For me, credit to him. He's one of those players, I think, that in 10, 15 years time, we'll look back and go, Jesus Christ. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the minimum that he set himself is so high. When he's in that upper echelon of that top 20% and one doesn't pull off, we're all grumbling. But he's still at 80% compared to, like we said earlier, Joey Pelopessi, who never, even on a good day, didn't get out of 40%. You know what I mean?
You can't believe some of what we criticised Bannon a year or two ago for not producing things, and you look back at what
we surrounded him
working with.
Yeah. I reckon he probably did that. I reckon Barry's probably had a chat with Darren Moore and gone, boss, fuck's sake. At the end of last season, we've gone down. He's gone, come on now. Stop playing me alongside this shit. I know it's not your fault, DM, but I've had a couple of managers now that have sat me alongside a lot of dross here. And it's something that it's a position we've strengthened about 6 times in the summer, isn't it? You know what I mean? When you look at the amount of centre mids that we have. Do we owe him an apology? I think we do.
The thing that got me was the Berahino goal. It was Bannon. You'll look back and you'll look at the celebration. It was Bannon because it means that much to him.
Yes.
And the third goal, Bannon gets the goal. He goes absolutely mental. And I think there are some, in modern day football, you can get that tokenistic, I'm going to tell you that I'm a fan of this club and I'm going to give it this one to the badge. It wasn't staged, was it? He loves the club. And I talk a lot about Liam Palmer and the fact that Liam Palmer's a Sheffield lad and so on and so forth. I think we talked about it last week. But for me, for somebody like Bannon to come in and spend the period of time that he has at the club, he's settled in the area. He's like Waddle was. in 93, 94, 95. He's come in, he's going to settle himself down and base himself in the city. I'd like to think that he'll see his career out here with us, but, you know, I don't see him going away and doing anything else unless, obviously, a managerial position or something like that comes in. His base is now Sheffield. He's a Sheffield lad. Doesn't matter where he's born, bred and raised. You know, you can see the passion in him, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
I think you're right. I think now he's ingratiated himself into the area. He could be the next Lee Bullen. For just one of them players, all ex-players around the club all the time, could be joining. You know what I mean? There's elements there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of similarities to be drawn. But one thing I did want to ask you, Steve, was talk about Liam Palmer. I saw bear in mind, I'm going to give you some Adrian Durham type of radio commentary here. But Liam Palmer, this tweet said, Liam Palmer, League One is his level. That's why he's performing well at this level this season. That's why he's not dropping as many bollocks and stuff like that. Do you feel like that's overly harsh?
Yeah, I do. I don't think over the course of the season, when we go back wherever we finish, I don't think that we're not going to, and this is going to sound daft with the goals that we've conceded, I don't think necessarily the defensive players that we've had, other than the goalkeeper, have necessarily been massively at fault with the goals we've conceded. You look at players that have conceded the goals or have been in that defence where we've conceded goals. Johnson's been in there. And we had a period at either side of Christmas where we've gone, oh my God, he can play centre half. What the bloody hell were we thinking?
Look at him down the wing now.
Exactly. So we've had to put him in there. We've had periods of time where Patterson's gone in there. We've had Dean come in. We've had Story come in. We've had Brennan come in after being on loan. The one constant that we've had this season playing at centre half has been Liam Palmer. So, if we go up, it will be because, we've managed to get enough points with a defence of Liam Palmer being in there. If we don't go up, I'd argue that there's a point that we've got as close as we have, because we'll be there or thereabouts, whether we get into the playoffs, and I think we will get into the playoffs. If we don't go up, it won't be because of Liam Palmer. The goals that we've conceded, generally speaking, he hasn't made many, if maybe one or two mistakes this year, but I've harped back over sort of the last few months and talked about Liam Palmer in the sense that, for me personally, the renaissance in his career, the point that he's kicked on is when he got the international call up, and he's gone on and he's played international football and he's played against some top draw players. And I think he has developed at that point. And we can argue and take the piss about the fact that he's only playing for Scotland. He's playing international football at the highest standard against the best players in the world. He's only going to develop from that point. And, anybody that's saying he's found his level, they're watching a different game of football to me. I'm sorry. And people will take the piss out of me and laugh and joke about it. I'm all right with that. I believe Liam Palmer he's playing, he's a championship player. He's not a premiership player, but would do very well in a mid-table, top-end championship side. And I think, we, again, to the point where we talked about Bannon, I don't think Palmer gets enough recognition.
I'm going to take a piece of Liam Palmer's call-up. I'm having it. I'm telling you, right? I've told you before, I'm mates with Steve Clark's youngest son. And we were in Hampden Park, and we were talking about David Bates because he was there that day. I told that story a few weeks ago, and I said I'm pissed. I've had a drink. I'm in Scotland, for fuck's sake. I've had a vodka and iron brew, and I went Steve. I said, oh, you got sent off in my first ever game. I went to at Hillsborough. And he went, and he remembered it. It was impressive. I must admit, obviously he's not going to get sent off a lot, so he remembered it. And he told me the goal that Chelsea scored and all the rest of it. And so I started talking. I said, so where's Barry Bannon and Stephen Fletcher and even Jordan Rhodes at this point? Like, you know what I mean? And he went, well, all right. I rang up X. He weren't bothered. And then he went, but what about your boy Palmer? I went, how do you know about Liam Palmer? Like, you know what I mean? Absolutely blown my mind. I went, I'm pissed. I went, yeah, it's good, yeah. I had no to say. I had no feedback on it, but I went, yeah, it's good, yeah. So in my head, Liam Palmer got a call up because I said so.
Imagine if that had been Stevie in that position. There'd be no doubt who it were down to that Liam Palmer got a call up, because Stevie had made sure of it.
Yeah. So I'm calling it. I'm having it. So Lee Palmer, if you're listening, you're kind of welcome. You got in there on your football ability, but I'm taking 2%. I can be your next international agent if that's a thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was that was an interaction. So I'm having it. Upshot being, Stephen Fletcher was the player that he just weren't interested. Because I can say that now, I don't play for us anymore. But he went, "What are you saying, Steve?" Because I think it would have been there would have been a potential upfront partnership of McBurney for Sheffield United and Stephen Fletcher for Sheffield Wednesday, and Fletcher just said, "I'm too old. I'm done with it." Just weren't bothered. Didn't want it. And as a result, they then qualified for their first tournament in 23 years without the Sheffield Wednesday players that I was suggesting. So, can't argue with that. I also think I probably mentioned Callum Patterson as well, but he went in and swiftly went out. So thanks for trying, Steve. Appreciate it. You know what I mean? I've got to give special mention to Story, by the way, because our defence, Ben, has been a lot more assured with this. I mean, he's a young kid. He's younger than you, isn't he?
No, he's not quite younger than. Is he 23-ish? I think.
I thought you were like 24 now.
I'm not that old. I'm not that old yet.
This motherfucker.
I'm 21.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You've been in the show for about 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like I'm on a schoolboy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get nonce catchers getting me a shot. Have you been contacting this kid for weekly phone calls? Hey, listen, it's not me. It's
don't worry, it was Vic.
She's mates with. She knows them all by name.
Like you say about Stories, he's looked composed with the ball at his feet. He's looked good in the air. I think Joe Cran had put the stat out about how many he'd won more aerial battles than any Doncaster player the old Doncaster team put together at the weekend. So yeah, he's being solid. He's come in and slotted in straight away, which was necessary. Granted that obviously Ali Dean come in as well and swiftly got injured. Hutchinson's them obviously being out, so he'd been along with Palmer, the mainstay, consistent face in the back three, really, in the last couple of months when we've gone on a good run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has. I think he was. I think he was brilliant. I wanted to give him special mention. So that was a 3-1 win. Barry Bannon missing another penalty. I mean, are we bothered? Is it? Do we take him off him? It's Barry Bannon, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I say. I mean, people will moan and say, well, he wants to take everything in, but
he's the best player we've got.
Who would you really have put on that penalty on that pitch instead of Bannon?
Yeah.
Possibly Marvin Johnson, but then you say you're starting that with possibly. There's only one player that you go, there's ball and we're confident in you.
Yeah.
And that's him who took it. So
yeah. Go on, Steve. I feel like you disagree.
No, I'm not. I'm just thinking about. I'm going through the side actually, thinking who would I put on it, and I think Johnson I'd probably agree with. The other side, I know he doesn't score goals, but Hunt,
Yeah.
Is there an argument that for a penalty taker, you want to look for somebody who can, hit that postage stamp, thread the eye of a needle sort of thing, whatever cliche you want to chuck at it. We haven't got somebody who's just going to smash the ball and take that outstanding penalty. I don't think.
I was going to say, Pato would just go right hard. He'd just shout "fuck off" as he hits it as well. Like
it's going to go anywhere, isn't it? So for me, I get the point. My concern is that Bannon has missed 3 out of 4. We talk about it as daft as it sounds. You talk about England at international level and the amount of practice that they'll do taking penalties. I don't know what's going on Middlewood Road. Have we got a first team squad that are practicing penalties? Is Bannon demanding it? Are people falling away from it? I don't know. I think the bonus that we've got at the moment is we ended up winning the game on Saturday. And Bannon got a goal, and people will have forgotten about it. It's gone away. If we lose the game, everything that we've said about how good Bannon is goes to that point, doesn't it? That we were talking about 5-10 minutes ago, where Bannon's the root of all evil and it's his fault and blah blah blah. We don't know the answer to that. We don't know whether or not Bannon wants to take the penalties, demands to take the penalties. If there's somebody else that's up there that would like to, I don't know. I did see in my opinion, I saw Berahino seemed a little bit disappointed that he didn't step up. I think there was he was itching around it. But if he puts the ball on the spot, we're all going to turn around and go, "What the bloody hell's he doing?" Because we wouldn't have wanted him anywhere near it.
Given the contract that Berahino's probably on, we can't afford him to take penalties. You know what I mean? We don't want goal bonuses going out willy-nilly, do we?
Yeah, exactly. So, I've got no argument necessarily with it. I don't think it was the worst penalty in the world. I thought the one that he pulled wide at Hillsborough, I can't remember who that was against. Was it Shrewsbury? That was a poor penalty, but he's hit the target. It's
what it is. Could be just a good save. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
He did pop a tweet out with Neymar missing a penalty, and I wrote on that. Did you tell Josh Windass? I'm just having a laugh, Josh. You know what I mean? I've got to be devil's advocate on this show. I can't just sit and be a sycophant every week. I'm afraid. You know what I mean? There's a part of me that if any of the players listen to this, I know that if I meet them one day, they'll be like, "Oh, you're that prick." You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be, because we have to be horrible about you sometimes, lads. I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. Like, Bannon's been great the last couple of games, but I think 3 or 4 games ago he stunk the joint out. You know what I mean? Same with Marvin Johnson. He was tripe to start with, and then now he's one of our better players. So sorry, lads. You know what I mean? So I'll speak Steve Clark for you. Go and get yourself a Scottish grandparent, Josh, and I'll sort it out for you. I'll sort it out. Now, well, that's Doncaster done. Let's talk about the league table, shall we? Now, it became very interesting. So we've got Sunderland Wednesday, Ipswich, Bolton, and Portsmouth, all on about 55 points, weren't we? I think there's 3 of us on 55. We're all just hovering outside the playoffs, and then you've got maybe exception of Wigan, but you've got MK, Wickham, Oxford, and Plymouth all in there. And now we're at the business end of the season. We could afford to say, in terms of levels, we can afford to strengthen our squad more than probably MK, Oxford, and Plymouth. You know what I mean?
Just to jump in, latest score: Cambridge 2, Plymouth 0.
Oosh. I'll tell you what, that we could have egg on our face in about 45 minutes there, mate. You know what I mean? But yeah, as the other guys are playing tonight, as it stands right now, so we've got 5 big, relatively large clubs in terms of history and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? I know it all based on form and all the rest of it. Can you see any of those clubs breaking in? Sunderland's can't seem to buy a win. They sacked their gaffer at 3rd, and now they're 7th. It just shows how tight it is at the top. And now, Stevie, the question I want to ask you is, we are 2 games in hand over MK in 3rd on 63, and we're on 55. So you add your 2 games in, that puts on 61. Is playoffs good enough for Sheffield Wednesday in League One on the whole? Yeah.
Sharp exhale of breath. I'd have to say yes. And the reason that I'd say yes is that we've had to go through a season or a pre-season of rebuilding the squad. We've had to go through injuries, and I know that we had my mate Dan from Donny was on last week, and he was talking about the injuries that Doncaster have had to deal with. And there's a feeling that you could go to a number of clubs and say, "Oh, we've had injuries, and we've had injuries, and we've had players out." I would love to see a team, he says, putting his foot in his mouth, that has had the number of injuries that we've had, the issues that we've had over the last season, or as the season's progressed. I think when you look at it in the cold light of day, the fact that we've had as many players out as we have, Gregory's been missing for a period, Windass has been out, Butcher's been out, back and out again. Dean comes in, John Jules has come in, played 10 minutes and disappeared. We've struggled like hell. The fact that we are, as I'm looking at it now, 6-7 points off 3rd place with games in hand is an absolute credit to, when you think about it, it's a credit to what Moore's done. I think Moore's ridden the crest of the wave. He's come through the storm and he's out the other side. I'm right back in the Moore in camp, to be honest with you. We said at the back end of last season with our rational heads on, we'd want to make playoffs. But when you think about it, mid-table consolidation for a season and then kicking on was probably a more realistic expectation. The problem that we've had is that we start the season as well as we did. Going the games that we won at the start of the season, being top of the league, no goals conceded. Somebody on this podcast that's on this podcast tonight saying, I'm going to put a bet on that we're going to go undefeated all season. Ben, I'm looking at you. Playoffs is acceptable for me. And given the record that we've had against the teams that are in and around there, I'd back us.
Just looking at the scores tonight.
Latest scores, Ben. Let's, you know what I mean?
Latest.
We've all put bets on in our life, and you know what I mean? We all know what the last 10 minutes can do.
At the moment, as I said, Cambridge are beating Plymouth 2-0. MK Dons are winning 1-0. The other big one for us is Wickham are beating Wigan 1-0, which isn't the worst thing in the world, because that at the moment, that would leave us 8 points off Wigan.
Auto.
Yeah. Wigan with a game in hand still. But they have been inconsistent.
Well, as daft as it sounds, right? We're talking, that's an interesting point, that, Ben. So, on your first point, I want Rotherham to just F off. You know what I mean? Just carry on, lads. Carry on winning. You're getting out of League One. Congratulations. See you later. I'm happy for them, because I think that we can get that second spot. I think we can steal it, and I want it. And then on your second point, in terms of Wigan's form, it's because the fixtures are piling up. Yeah. Now, this is something that we've got. We've had our game call off against Fleetwood this week. We had a COVID game call off. We didn't play at home for 18 months or something. You know what I mean? Whatever that was back at Christmas. Our fixtures are piling up. And we sat here at the end of January saying, tell you what, February's looking a bit tight. And we've had 2 games called off there. We have the potential, because I think we've got the depth more than some of our rivals in that area to carry through these fixtures. I don't think Wigan, who else has got game in hands? I don't think Plymouth. I don't think who's the other one? There was another one.
That's it, really.
Pretty much, innit? Yeah. I don't think they've got the depth that we've got in order to carry them through it. But we've also got the depth to have a pretty successful playoff campaign, depending on whether we bottle it or not, like we did against Derby County. But we know that quality's in there. You know what I mean? We know we've got championship players in our League One squad. But I want automatic. I want that second spot.
I think after the Wigan game, my focus shifted a bit from just getting it playoffs to that, because it's not beyond realms of fantasy when you look at where we were this time when we went up from this league. It looked pretty just as difficult, if not more difficult, and we did it. So let's see. You look at games in hand and you always just think that you're going to win them games in hand. You don't consider that you might lose them. But we've got MK Dons and Wickham still to play as well, which
massive 6-pointers. That's that side of the that side of the. I love it. I love a good running, because I must admit, 4 months ago that was a pipe dream.
I think the thing, I think we mentioned it, or we touched on it last week. We've only got those 2 games left, and I've not had a look. I would imagine that there are teams that are up there that've still got to play each other. I think if you look at the running of the teams that are in and around it, from, like you said, forget about Rotherham, although Rotherham don't tend to perform particularly well against the top end sides.
Is this money or bath time reading again, Steve?
A little bit. I think we've got the better running. We don't play anybody below sort of 10th, 12th, we play 2 teams below 10th, 12th. The only worry that I've got is it's those games that have stitched us up. Yeah. On paper, second place is there for the taking. But, we're still going to have to go to Gillingham. We're going to have to go to places we're going to have to play teams like, I don't know.
The March fixtures all look pretty favourable, don't they? Really?
We've got a decent run, in my opinion, until we play MK Dons on the 15th of April.
Good Friday.
We've got 9 games that potentially you're not going to win 9 on the bounce, but I think we'll be going into each one of those 9 games going right. we should be getting something out of this game. And if we get something out of all 9 of those games, it's going to put us right up in there, because the teams that are in and around us, some of them are going to start bottling it. And we're looking at it tonight. As we talk right now, Plymouth are 2-0 down. You know, Sunderland are dropping like a stone. There are teams that are taking points off each other left, right and centre. We've just got to hold our nerve and hang on. And to Dan's point earlier on, you know, we're talking about depth of squad. How many people were panicking when you look at the starting 11 against Doncaster Rovers because we've got this player, that player, the other player? We've still rocked up and we've turned up.
Battered them.
We've put in an absolutely. It's a workmanlike performance. Second half, it was a Rolls Royce of a performance at times. I don't care what anybody says, and we've done it with Saido Berahino and Callum Patterson up top.
So thanks. And that's it. And that's what I feel. I feel like we've got more depth to carry ourselves through, because I think January transfers, we signed some very savvy players, and we had to pull off some shrewd signings. I don't know how long Harley Dean's out for, but he's not a bad fallback, is he? You know what I mean? Story's been an absolute revelation. Neymar has been outstanding the last couple of months. You know what I mean? He's absolutely going to get Player of the Year.
Yeah, genuinely, he's going that way for me. And
it's a 2-horse race between him and Massimo Luongo, isn't it?
But again, we can talk about Barry Bannon, about the minimum that he's set for himself. You know what I mean? It's anyone's game. Bannon's 3 goals away from being the best player we've ever seen again. Do you know what I mean? He always is. Okay, so last 15 minutes, lads. We saw the return of Masters football. Somebody popped in our group chat, didn't they? We should pop this out as a tweet. And then Alex Miller popped out the same thing as a tweet. Plus 35s, 5 aside, 1 goalkeeper, and 4 outfield players. In there, you will need 1 of each position in terms of defender, midfielder, forward. Whether you play 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, or 2 forwards, that's up to you.
Ben's writing notes.
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out. 35 plus.
35 plus. So you've got goalkeeper, a defender and a midfielder, and you can double up on one of the positions. Do you know what I mean? So goalkeeper, Stevie, plus 35 is the cutoff. Who are you saying?
Westwood.
That's who I said. Westwood.
I'm me.
It's yeah. That's the easiest one of all. I think. I don't think anybody's going to argue that Westwood has potentially been our best goalkeeper in the last 15, 20 years.
I actually bought a Masters shirt about 15 years ago and all. I actually had the shirt with all the sponsors on it. David Hurst had it on one, so I was like, yeah, I want it. All right, let's go for a defender then, Ben.
Louvens.
Glenn Louvens. That's a hell of a shout. What about you, Stevie? Ooh, it's a big noise. I tell you, I'm going to bash it.
We know what Stevie's having.
I'm going to bash one in, Steve. Raider Johnson.
He makes my bench, I think, Raider.
All right. And what about you, Steve?
I'd go Louvens. The only thing with Louvens is
he doesn't need to run.
It's 5 aside. You have to bloody run.
It's the pace. It's the pace that gets me. I'll go Louvens.
Can I offer a third option? Rob Jones.
Louvens. No, I honestly love Jones. Think what a guy. He was great. I think
you can't edit in 5 aside.
I think you can with them. I've seen them getting scooped over with Chrissy Waddle and that. Yeah. It's not all Pitts rules. It's not called Pitts anymore, is it? Is it Power League nowadays? Right, go on then. Let's pick a midfielder. Can be any midfielder, but bear in mind we're playing 5 aside.
Glenn Whelan.
Oh, sexy.
That's
sexy.
Mine. That were mine that I wrote down.
Oh my God, you guys are absolutely out. See, you've all gone Westwood, Louvens, and Whelan.
I haven't written anything down, but even though
and you guys have gone the same ones.
Anything down.
Well, I've put in there Jermaine Johnson.
Woo!
I think he'd be sick at 5 aside, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
They'd need to build those barriers right up to the ceiling.
yeah. If it had rugby posts, we're laughing. All right. So over 35 up front.
Oh, bloody hell!
Yeah, isn't it?
Hang on.
Are you now googling players now to see how long they are?
I've got one. I'm googling.
All right. All right. Because I'm pretty sure
Do you wanna
Stephen
mention the
Fletcher
sponsor while
probably.
I'm coming to it. Do
Eh?
you want to mention the sponsor while I'm getting my Google up?
Okay, yeah, actually, so I owe Mike Constantine an apology. He normally gives us money for this nonsense, and he texted me the other day and said, "How come you've not been mentioning the sponsor?" I went, "Oh shit, have I not? I've been putting the wrong idents in on the audio version." So on YouTube it'll go, Mike Constantine Wealth Management, but on the audio it don't. So my apologies, Mike, and I will get as many mentions in as possible going forward. Thank you for your money. Right, up front, Benjo.
So I was looking for Gary Hooper. He's 34, so I can't have him.
Hooper would have been a big shout and all, wouldn't he?
He
How long
was
we got? When's it start?
I'll go for Neil Mellor instead.
Mel's. All right. Actually, Mellor's probably a similar age to me, actually. He's only probably, 42, 43, isn't he?
39.
I'm older than Neil Mellor.
Yeah, he's 39.
Fuck's sake, Steve.
You look older than Neil Mellor, to be fair.
Listen, I've got Botox on Friday. Come on now. Right. What about you, Steve?
Oh. I'm torn.
Right, go on.
I played in a charity, the charity game that I played in a couple of years ago. We played, and I played for Leeds against Donny Rovers.
Well, boo, one.
And they had a lad up front, Rovers, who was an ex-Wednesday lad, and he absolutely was
I know
next
what you're
level.
going to say.
Paul Heffernan.
Yeah,
Paul Heffernan.
I bet he'd be decent.
Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Right, hang on then. Right. Lee Peacock.
I'll yeah.
Still in good shape. Played until he was 42.
The other one that I'd say were Tugger.
I was just about to say the
That's
other
a
one.
good one, actually.
Tugger.
Right. I tell you what, then. Right.
In that charity game.
He was steady last year, weren't he?
Yeah.
As it stands, Westwood in goal. And then two of you agreed on Louvens. Yeah. And then two of you agreed on Whelan. Shitting out. This is shit squad, isn't it? Given the talent we've had, but we're thinking age and actual playing in the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Louvens, Whelan. I'm going to put Tudgay up front. So out of the players we've named, which is Peaks, Mellor, Heffernan, Jermaine Johnson or Raider Johnson, who's the extra player in there? What formation you playing? Who's fit enough?
I'll throw one in.
Go on.
Let me just check. He's going to be old enough, I'm sure.
I should have told you to prep this before we came on, shouldn't I? You know what I mean? This got to be some frustrating radio for everybody.
Yeah.
So
he's 36. Ross Wallace.
Shit, that's a good one. That's a good one.
He was good as well.
Are you having Ross Wallace as well, Steve?
He's just going to miss out. I'm going to stick Chris Brunt in.
Oh shit! You fucked me head up now. I was like, yeah, Ross Wallace, he's going in. Well done. And then Chris Brunt. Honestly, I'd be inclined to drop Tudgay or Whelan for them too. Because that charity game you played last year, Steve, Wallace was brilliant.
Yeah, he was.
Chris Brunt, for fuck's sake. Right, okay. I'm going to play without a striker.
Can't we play goalie when?
Hang on. What did you just fucking say then?
Goalie when?
Have you just invented another bread cake meme?
No,
He has, yeah.
Goalie
He has,
when?
hasn't he? Because there's one that said, what do you call this bread cake? There's always, what do you call this game when it's knock a door run or Tiggy knock Bob down or whatever it's called. And we used to call it rush goalie. What did you call it in your school? Steve?
Me? Goalie wag.
Goalie wag?
Yeah, I've a goalie wag, but we always say goalie when.
All right, I'm going to name this episode Goalie Breadcake. Because what you're saying is wrong. It's like when people give somebody a croggy. It's not croggy, it's coggy because you stood on the cogs.
He had any man keeper as well. Kids at school give any man keeper.
Any man keeper?
Any man keeper.
I'm making notes now to make a mean-spirited tweet on the internet now. That's what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to drop Tudgay and put Brunt in. Right? And I'm going to put Wallace in. Wallace is playing a more advanced role. So I've got Brunt, Wallace, Whelan, Louvens, Westwood in goal. What about that?
Fine.
Are we all stuck? And then on the bench we've got Mellor, Tudgay, Paul Effingham, apparently. Not exactly Wednesday legends, are they? But normally when you offer this out,
he was super sub though, Paul Effingham.
Yeah, to be fair, but normally when you offer something like this out on the internet, it goes Shurst, it goes Hurst, Sheridan, Waddle, Pressman, and then Des Walker. That's it, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know that'll be the all-time greatest five-a-side team you've ever seen. We know that. We're playing for ones that we actually want to win the tournament because they're not all, on painkillers for the back. So that's what's happening. So Wednesday week, Brunt, Wallace, Whelan, Louvens, Westwood. They are. Right, that's nearly an hour. Coming up, we've got Charlton Athletic. Ben, what are you saying?
2-0 to Wednesday.
Straight for it. 2 notes. I tell you what, I'm making notes now. I'm literally writing stuff down. It actually makes my life a lot easier. 2-0, Ben. I'm just going to make a quick note of that. What about you, Stevie?
Any win's a good win. 2-0, 2-0, 2-1. 2-0, 2-0.
2-0, both 2-0. I'm going to make it 3-0 because sod it, because I'm not a sheep. You know what I mean? But I'll go 2-0 as well. Charlton started out a shite time of it. Where are they in the league, Ben? Have you still got the league up? Oh, the mid-table, the 16th.
Mid-table.
Yeah, they are down there. Yeah.
Can't they?
They are 16th, yeah.
A mate of mine's a Charlton fan. And at the start of the season, they had a woeful start, didn't they? They didn't win in about the first 7 games or something ridiculous. And I said, what do you think it is? And he went, we got this knobhead from Scotland called Sean Clare, and he's been bloody rubbish. And I'm laughing. And he went, why are you laughing? I went, because he's ours. We get him them. You know what I mean? We get him to Scotland. Sorry. If you'd have asked us, we'd have told you. You know what I mean? He's rubbish. But listen, thanks a lot for joining me tonight, chaps. I will see you next week, and hopefully let's hope for a 2-0 drubbing of the addicts. See you later.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.